And so anybody who brings that up at this point, you can just say, look, Elon Musk has given it the stamp of approval. If he wasn't sure that Bitcoin would be good for the advent of the hastening of renewable energies on this planet, then obviously he wouldn't have bought $1.5 billion worth of it. I think that's a big deal. It's essentially an energy company that he's running at this point. So I think that's quite the endorsement.
Yeah. Funny thing there is that there are two options to this, and one is that Elon Musk is like from socialists and the likes. There are some that say that Elon is just faking it, and that he was never into environmentalism from the beginning. And because how can he be into Bitcoin if he likes environmentalism? Bitcoin needs about as much energy as Switzerland and all this FUD or whatever you may call it, and misconceptions about what it is. The thing Bitcoin does is that it converts energy from one state to another. It converts from electricity to human flourishing, basically, or to human actual wants and needs, condensed into a finite number. And it's such a beautiful thing, and it's the best battery we've ever invented. I believe I wrote this in the first book, I think, about how Bitcoin can serve as a battery. And I'm not the only one talking about this, but you don't have to send electricity directly any longer. You could just store it, like connect your power plant to Bitcoin miners and store the energy somewhere else in Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's a fascinating way to look at Bitcoin, and I'm sure I hope Elon has been exposed to that idea, or it occurred to him himself as just another way to store energy, and you could argue also a way to store time. And Rob, I know you've done some thinking about that. Like, not only is Bitcoin a way to preserve energy, but also a way to preserve time, which can be interesting. I saw Jack Dorsey syncing a node on Twitter the other day, and just commented time travel underneath it because he was in 2013, and the wealth that was the Bitcoins that were in existence at that point in time that his node was syncing still exist and are still worth the exact same amount as they were then. So if somebody had preserved their time back then and a Bitcoin was still holding it, then it would still be the exact same thing at this point. Basically, you transported that time forward in perfect in a perfect state.
Yeah, I think this plays in perfectly to what do you call this, by the way? Infinity divided by 21 million. Does it have a name?
Yeah, infinity divided by 21 million, I guess.
Yeah. I tweeted this the other. Well, maybe you can adopt this name then. The meta ratio. I tweeted this the other day and put your equation in there. I was saying that Bitcoin is the only money in history that guarantees its holder a fixed ratio of the total supply.
Yeah.
And it is for that precise reason that it is becoming an increasing ratio of the total purchasing power worldwide.
Exactly.
It's the only inviolable ratio or fraction of a money supply that can be held by anyone in the world. It's the only guarantee you have. And that's why it increases purchasing power.
I'll have to think about that one, Rob.
Yeah, I
like the word ratio.
I don't know if meta is the right thing, but it's just kind of a compounding effect, or I don't know. Anyways, something to think about.
Meta sounds a bit too disconnected from reality for my taste.
Well. Bitcoin is
but I get what you mean. By the way, the number zero on Bitcoin is one of my favorite Bitcoin articles of all time. I really like it. Even I like Masters and Slaves of Money a lot too. But the Bitcoin and the number zero is so. This is like so close to what I'm thinking about, and I'm so glad you put it into words. And that connects with this. This is why I tweeted that before. That like Bitcoin is the number 0, but it's also infinity divided by 21 million. So it is what connects the infinite to the finite, and that's why it blows my mind. Period.
That's funny. I've been communicating with Gigi a bit, and he's very deep in the philosophical side. We're talking about the union of opposites, actually, where Bitcoin is this unity of opposites in so many ways, and it sounds like this is another one where it is the number 0. It's kind of like the 0 point of money, but it also is this infinity divided by 21 million. So it's another, 0 and infinity are twins effectively. And it sounds like Bitcoin is both.
Exactly. I
and
love
that gets back into the crazy alchemy thing. It was said that the Philosopher's Stone would be the unifier of opposites. And that would be the thing that would be incorruptible and save the world from the tyranny in the world. So it's just mind-bending, honestly.
Yeah, I loved your chat with Gigi, by the way, on Svetsky's pod. Some real insights there, and Gigi is such a great thinker too. Looking forward to his next book. He's trying to frame Bitcoin in 21 different ways, I think, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And really looking forward to that. I liked a lot of the metaphors, like, well, Bitcoin is. Like trying to find a Bitcoin is akin to approaching the speed of light. I really like that metaphor, and like this connection between time and space that we haven't had before. It's really intriguing because like all the other monies are good for spreading value across space, but not through time. And Bitcoin is the first one that is actually super precise good at storing it over time. I mean, we've never had a better tool for storing value over time if it continues to work as it does. And combining that with the ability to send it through space in relatively short times, like wait for 3 confirmation. I mean, that takes a while, but in the grand scheme of things, no, it's the time. The time dimension is so much more important there.
Yeah, you have to compare that settlement across space with gold, right? So it's how much time and or energy does it take you to send gold around the world?
Yeah.
How much time and energy does it take you to send Bitcoin? Because it's not adequate to compare it with Visa or PayPal or any of that, because that's not final settlement, right? You still have counterparty risk no matter what. And I do think I wrote a lot about the relationship between time and money, and that's where I focused a lot of my analogy, I guess. But actually, in doing the series with Saylor, he has this he looked at it from an energy perspective almost entirely, and that was the actual answer to the question, "What is money?" He said, "Money is the highest form of energy humans can channel, basically." And I found it's so interesting there. I think about it a lot that time and energy are almost interchangeable in this sense, and that we could say that both, it's all connected to work, right? The capacity to do work over time, it requires energy or it requires time to do that. And it is work that's actually improving our productivity, right? Which actually helps us overcome the scarcity of time, if you will. So, and that was the relationship to money. That was actually how I engaged Elon originally, was that I think I said, here's a lesson for Elon. Money is simply a tool for moving value across time and space. Gold is great for moving value across time, but not space. Fiat currency is great for moving value across space, but not time. Bitcoin's the only money in history optimized for moving value across space-time. And that's what I think sparked his interest a little bit. But yeah, that's what it is. And then if you dive into the Saylor series, it'll blow your mind. Like it changed my worldview, and that that is the overarching purpose of humanity, of life, really, is to move energy across time and space. But humans are different in that we can use symbols and information to engage in cooperative effort at a scale not possible by any other animal. So we can channel energy across space and time more intelligently and with more purpose than any other creature, and that's why we dominate the world. So it's just, and money is quintessential to all of that. So super interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, to that point, I look at it as a linguistic tool because Bitcoin is just a language. Gold is not linguistic in the same sense, since it's physical, and this is I'm kind of tired of the gold analogy because I think Bitcoin is so much better than gold. So while it is still the best analogy we have, it's sort of insulting to Bitcoin because it's so much more than gold. And I would say that money is the tool that lets us switch between energy states instantly between energy states. Like Bitcoin is really first of all, it converts electricity to monetary energy, or whatever you call that type of energy. You can't really frame that because money itself has no use value other than to turn it into another state of energy, so to speak. And so I view Bitcoin as a linguistic tool to switch between energy states instantly, and first and foremost to store that energy over time. And as technology and humanity flourishes more and more, and we move forward, that stored energy, since it's a part of a greater whole, that part will always go up in purchasing power over time, because it's the infinite number gets closer and closer to real infinity, and not just bounded by the physical boundaries of the earth. So yeah, it's deep stuff, but it's hard to come to other conclusions than this when really thinking deep and hard about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think another way to maybe frame it is that money is a claim on the creative energies of man. Because we often talk about, there's not enough energy, or we're wasting energy, or whatever. But in truth, I mean, we're completely engulfed in energy. The whole universe is made of energy. It's just how much can we harness and allocate towards our aims, towards satisfying wants.
Yeah, everything is energy. Like mass and energy are interconnected. So everything.
Yeah, mass is frozen energy. Exactly. And so this whole thing, like that we now have a loss minimized, you could call it a superconductive monetary network in a way, that we can actually move this claim on creative energy across time and space with least loss. Whereas historically, gold, very expensive to move around the world. It's inflating at 2% per year, expensive to secure. Fiat currency, cheap to move around the world. If you can get the sign off from the right gatekeepers, loses a lot of value over time, can be totally deauthorized. It's pure counterparty risk in a sense. And Saylor, again, in the series, brilliantly explained this. He goes, you can get kind of confused